Our invocation.
Let's bow our heads. Father, grant us a vision, Lord, to see what we can achieve, to reach out beyond ourselves, to share our lives with others, to stretch our capabilities, to increase our sense of purpose, to be aware of where we can help, to be sensitive to your presence, to give heed to your constant call. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. And Steve Schmidt.
I pledge allegiance to the flag, United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mike, I'm going to mute everybody and you mute yourself.
Okay, I think I'm unmuted. All right, we have a number of announcements. I'm going to start with Ramona.
Hello, everybody. Come on. Sorry. Good morning. A couple things. On November 14th, Heartland High School, which is a high school that we've supported in the past, will continue to support. They are having their luncheon, and so we will be sending out information for volunteers for that, as well as we're going to do a coat drive for Welcome Warehouse, and we'll be sending out more information about that.
Thank you. Claudia has an announcement. Maybe it's the thing that she forgot last week that she couldn't remember.
Maybe it is. Let me tell you a little thing about Mike now. Two announcements. One is Andy Keeler will be hosting us at City Hall next Friday, giving us a tour. Megan Callahan, the Economic Development Director, is that her title? Yeah, will be our speaker. If you haven't been to the new City Hall yet, it's a very cool place. I will be sending out lots of information about what door to go in. We will not have a Zoom because we'll be in chambers and then touring. But please bring family, friends, anybody you would like to come see this new facility.
Do we know the address? Or the address of the new City Hall?
5555, I believe.
And it's at the corner of Emerald Park Road and Perimeter.
It's the old
It's
Delta.
old
Energy
Delta
building.
The old Delta Energy.
Brick building.
But we'll be sending, we'll put a GPS in there so everybody can find it. It's a huge building next to the police station, Justice Center, which makes a lot of sense. And the pickleballers, for those of you who pickleball. And then the other one is, this is a last call for touch points. I'm closing the books on September. Please get them into me if you have them. Thank you.
Thank you, Claudia.
You're welcome.
And I know Roberta has an announcement.
Every week we do a story on the webpage along with pictures, and then I post the pictures to Flickr and Facebook. And Ron and Maury and Jean, thank you, Oliver, are on the committee. Jean did a really great story the week that I was gone, and he took pictures with his phone. It turned out better than the pictures from my camera. So obviously I need a new phone or a new camera. But we need more people because I don't want to be the only one with these two guys, wonderful guys, that are doing the story and the pictures. So if anyone would like to volunteer to add stories once a week, just a summary of the meeting and take a few pictures with your cell phone, please let me know.
Okay, looking for recruits. Thank you, Roberta. I'd like to invite up Ingrid and Andy.
Well, thanks, Mike. I appreciate that. This year, as you know, our fundraisers have taken on a little different feel over this last year. And I have to say, my first memories of Rotary were always Barney Bash and Irish Festival. And Andy, none of us will forget how much you used to put into the Irish Festival of all the coordination, the grills, the food, the special golf cart trips I took with Calvin. We all have fond memories, right?
Good
So
times.
you brought together something special for us again as a fundraiser. Would you mind just saying a few words and recognizing your volunteers?
Sure, absolutely. First of all, I'd like to thank all of our volunteers this year. I know it was a different experience, different format. We had some rain, inclement weather, and we made $8 an hour. I don't know. So the folks that stepped up for us this year, if I can read this: Lou, Mike Isler, myself, Wolf, Ramona White, Claudia Sinan, Kurt Brown, Pete, Ryan Keenan, Dave Matthews, I saw him here, Barry, Phil West, and Susan West. So thank you again. Hopefully next year we get back to normal. We generally make $18 an hour, so significantly more, but if nothing else, it was camaraderie and team building and all that kind of stuff. So again, thank you very much, and stay tuned for next year.
Any other announcements? David has an announcement.
Good morning. I just wanted to give an update on a few programs that our club funded at Daniel Wright Elementary School. Early in 2020, we paid into two programs. One, I think we donated about $2,000 to the Let Me Run program and about $2,000 to Weekend Wishes. And I wanted to let you know those programs kind of got delayed because of COVID, but they're back full steam at this point. The Let Me Run program, so you know kind of what that is, but there's 15 boys at Daniel Wright who are able to participate, 5th grade boys, in the Let Me Run program free of charge because of our donation. And it's typically $150 for a child to participate at most of the schools. And none of these kids could be on it if it wasn't for those scholarships. The program is one where my wife and I are helping coach the team, but we meet twice a week and run with the boys and teach a lesson. So it really teaches them about respect, teamwork, being themselves and not succumbing to peer pressure and bullying and things, and not being afraid to show emotions and things of that nature. The program culminates in a 5K run in November, which is with all the schools who have Let Me Run teams. Typically it's out at Otterbein, and that's when they run a 5K and get a medal. So the boys are really excited about it. They love coming to practice, and I wanted to update you on that. The Weekend Wishes I don't know a lot about, but I do know that it is about to kick off. And what that program is there will be 40 families, Daniel Wright families, who receive full nutritious meals on the weekend. And these are families that are experiencing food insecurity. And so it's different from Blessings in a Backpack, which was more the kids get some snack foods to take home on Friday for themselves, but this is more feeding the whole family with nutritious meals. So just wanted to update you on that. Our money is being put to work and doing really good things with these disadvantaged kids and families at Daniel Wright. Thank you.
Thank you so much, David. And with that, I'm going to welcome our sergeant who's waving me off.
I'll be right there.
Any other announcements? Claudia?
If you are interested in becoming part of our peace building committee, it's a new initiative in Rotary. You know, peace and conflict resolution has been a focus of Rotary for a long time and continues to be really important. As a district, we've taken on peace building, and each club is encouraged to have a committee. We are starting our committee. We're meeting this coming Thursday at 8 a.m. at the patio at Le Chatelaine. And I believe we have 6 or 7 members already, but there's, peace takes a lot of people. So if you have ideas or you want to become involved, please come over and join us for breakfast, or, drop me a note or something like that. The other is that we are also starting an environmental committee and need ideas and people to help us organize some projects for next year to improve our local environment and anything we can do nationally and internationally. So let me know if you're interested in that.
Those were two of our goals for the club this year, starting those two committees. So check. All right.
All right.
Without further ado, our sergeant, Jeff Shaner.
You know, you just, 3 of them, that's it. All right. Hello, everyone. Good morning. Good morning to all you people that are on Zoom also. Hope everyone's doing well. I have one guest today, and Assis, you're back again. This is your second or third time. Thank you for coming. And you're a guest of ours. And we appreciate you coming back. Hope everybody's treating you well. Good, perfect. All right, fines today. Let's see, we got about 18 people here. I was going to be a nice guy and not fine anybody, but I just decided, oh, what the heck. There is a opportunity when I give out tickets for people to have a choice. Either says keep this coupon or take a ticket. And I don't know if anybody were up early enough to get on the internet and check things out today, but today is opposite day. So if you by chance have something that says keep this coupon, you owe $1. Okay. So just put it on the table. It is opposite day. Look it up. I mean, everything's supposed to be opposite. You're like supposed to switch your left and right sock. Everything's opposite day. So if you're going to work, you don't have to go to work. If you don't work, go somewhere and find some place to work. Okay.
It sounds questionable.
We have an attorney in the group, don't we? So anyhow, within that, I'll just put them on the table. I'll come around and pick them up, and we'll go from there. So anyhow, good morning. So again, with limited amount of people here, we do have $10 big dollars. So, oh, I'm sorry. Sounds like lunch money. Sounds like lunch money. Can you buy lunch for $10 anymore? Go to the right place. And there's always a. All right. So here's the tickets that I'm going to draw real quick here, and the ticket number ends in 9174.
Wait a minute, I'm collecting your money. I have to look, see if it's right before me.
All right. We have a winner. All right, I'll bring that over to you. And the big pot is $300 and some odd. I forgot to look, but there's some cash in there. You can buy lunch for that. And you can buy lunch for that. I've been out to dinner with you and your wife before. That's tough. All right, and that ticket ends in 9171.
9171?
Yes, ma'am. All right, I'm gonna come over there. I'm gonna let you pick for the 10 of clubs. All right.
10 of clubs it is.
You feel like a 10 of clubber today?
Actually, I do.
Oh, good. Thank you, guys. Have a great weekend. Go Bucks, homecoming.
Thank you, Jeff. All right, I'm going to welcome up Susan West to introduce our esteemed speaker today. And while she's doing that, I'm going to share his presentation.
All right, good morning, Rotary.
Good morning.
Can y'all hear me okay? I have no hearing in my right ear. It's been rather annoying to have an ear infection at this advanced age that I'm at. I don't know. I thought ear infections were for kids, right? This morning, our speaker is a member of our club, and the speaker committee had talked about the fact that we wanted to have some of our own members present. And so when we were brainstorming on the different industries that we would like to hear from, of course, we said, wouldn't it be great to hear about the deep, dark world of the legal profession. So we asked Peter if he would give us a few moments of his time to explain what he does. And of course, then I have to introduce him. So I look on their website, and I got to tell you, he's very impressive website, Dinsmore Show. Did you know our fellow member here is published? He has publications. It cites some really cool cases, all the different courts that he's been involved with, that he went to Wittenberg, got his law degree at the Ohio State University. But there's really, I don't know, I love reading good John Grisham novels, so I'm all about the legal profession. And so I kind of feel like Peter's going to have great stories like John Grisham has, right? So anyway, we asked him to talk today about the legal profession, especially the post-COVID environment. Of course, I'm not sure if we're really there yet, but wanted to hear about how his industry changed because of COVID. So without further ado, welcoming Peter Georgiton.
Right. Well, thank you, everybody. I'm so happy to be here. I'll tell you, when Susan asked me to come and speak, I was a little hesitant because I just really, I don't like talking, and I'm so quiet, right? So, actually, no, I'm very honored to have the opportunity to talk a little bit about the practice of law here today and my background. Are we good? Okay. So, I think I did. We're just going to.
The slideshow.
All right, so here's today's agenda. We're going to start with a comprehensive history of the legal profession from the Code of Hammurabi, the Roman Civil Code, the Magna Carta, English common law, to current American practice. Is that okay? No, I'm just kidding. I'm going to talk a little bit about a brief background of my practice and my law firm, Dinsmore and Scholl. We're going to talk a little bit about the current state of the legal profession in Ohio and what it means to be a litigator, and also about the impact of COVID on the legal profession. Of course, Susan's already given a nice introduction of me. My background has already been discussed. I've been with Dinsmore and Scholl since 2002. I'm in I am in my 20th year at Dinsmore. I came there right after law school at Ohio State. I began in the Cincinnati office, and in January 2016 moved up to the Columbus office. I practice in the commercial litigation group and also do insurance coverage work, breach of contract, bad faith denial of coverage, coverage opinions, and more. Types of cases I've litigated runs the gamut. A lot of my cases are breach of contract and tort cases, but I've covered lots of different areas in my time, which is one of the things I love about being a litigator. I never know what is going to come on to my desk on a particular day. It gives me the opportunity to learn about people's businesses, about different scientific areas. I had a products liability case where I become learn all about metallurgy and go toe-to-toe with experts with multiple degrees in metallurgy, and it really it stretches your skill set, and it's a lot of fun at the same time. And you're always learning, you're always on your toes. It's a very difficult job, but I wouldn't have it any other way because I like to enjoy the challenge. So why be a lawyer? Well, I've thought about being a lawyer for a long, long time. When I was a kid, I was really big into history. And I like to read up on all the presidents of the United States. I'm not normal. And so as I read on presidents, I saw that many of them had gone to law school or had been very accomplished lawyers. And so I listed a few here: John Adams, Abraham Lincoln, Teddy Roosevelt, Franklin Roosevelt, who were in fact lawyers and either studied the law or went to law school. Teddy Roosevelt, Franklin Roosevelt really didn't practice law all that much, but John Adams and Abraham Lincoln were both very esteemed and skilled trial attorneys. John Adams, of course, defended the British soldiers after the Boston Massacre and did so as a patriot. And one of my favorite quotes from John Adams from the trial of the British soldiers when he was trying to appeal to his fellow jurors, many of them were not too fond of the British at that time. He said, "Facts are stubborn things, and whatever may be our wishes, our inclinations, or the dictates of our passion, they cannot alter the states of facts and evidence." It's a great quote because it's the same issue that all attorneys have to deal with to this day: how to break through with the jurors and their biases and preconceptions to get a good result for your client at the end of the day. A little bit about Dinsmore. Dinsmore, we have 725 plus attorneys. When I started at Dinsmore in 2002, we only had about 300 attorneys. So it's grown quite a bit in the time that I've been there. I like to think that we've kept our culture intact. We're very deliberate about how we expand. We like to have a lot of cross-pollination between our offices. I've been to many of these offices and met my colleagues, and it's very important that we like to practice with each other. And I'm very fortunate to practice with some highly intelligent, skilled lawyers and good people at the same time. We have offices in 29 cities. We're in 13 states and the District of Columbia. Cincinnati's our main office. And our Columbus office is actually our second largest office. We have now 90 attorneys in Columbus, which makes us, I believe, the fourth largest law firm here in the Columbus metropolitan area. And Dinsmore does everything. This is just a listing of all the different areas we cover. So if somebody has an issue, we can usually cover it. So I want to talk a little bit about the state of the practice of law in Ohio. And this is from the Ohio State Bar Association's 2019 profile of the legal profession in Ohio. Right now, there are 32,199 lawyers in Ohio. We may seem maybe more numerous than you think, given all the commercials and things that you'll see, but there's 32,000 in the entire state. We have 8,500 attorneys in Franklin County, only though 109 in Union County, 680 in Delaware County. And consistent with that, 70% of all Ohio lawyers are just in 6 counties, the major metropolitan areas: Cuyahoga, Franklin County, Hamilton County, Summit, Lucas, and Montgomery. 59% of the current Ohio attorneys are male, 38% are female. However, 52.2% of the incoming law school class for 2019 to 20 were female. So that is changing, though our profession has a long way to go in that regard. We especially have a long way to go with respect to diversity. 81.1% of Ohio attorneys are white. Only 3% are African American. So a lot of progress still has to be made to this day. 60% of Ohio's attorneys are over the age of 50. So we're an older profession. And you'll see, I think, part of the reason for that here. Law school enrollment over the last few years has declined. There were 4,800 law students in Ohio at Ohio's law schools in 2011. In 2017, that dropped to 3,400. It's rebounded slightly to 3,500 law students in 2019 to 20. Only 68.5% of the 2018 law graduates are employed in jobs where bar passage is required. 6.8% were unemployed. So these are tough statistics for incoming law students. Moreover, law graduates can expect to be in pretty substantial debt. Average debt for millennials is $98,801 if you're in private practice, $113,000 for those in government service, about $90,000 for those who are in-house looking for companies. I think the 2008 financial downturn had a dramatic impact on the legal industry, as well as the rising cost of legal education. Couple that with lost job opportunities, and that's led to fewer people attending law school, which is why I think the age of our bar here in Ohio skews skews older. So, but these things are cyclical. I think that I'm starting to see things rebound. Hiring, particularly at the firms in Ohio, has ticked up. Salaries are increasing across the board because I think the demand is starting to come back. 68% of Ohio attorneys perform pro bono service each year. Totaled 118,146 volunteered hours. 68% of attorneys reported doing pro bono service in the last reporting year, and $23 million in legal services have been donated. Notwithstanding that, that's not enough. There is a tremendous need for legal services in our community, and it's an ongoing issue. Hiring lawyers can be and is an expensive endeavor. And that means that people get priced out of the legal field. And that's why it's so important for attorneys to volunteer their time where they can. And the legal industry has a huge economic impact in Ohio. It's responsible for 80,000 jobs, $3.5 billion in household earnings, just in Ohio. So what does it mean to be a litigator? That's what I would consider myself over at Densmore. First and foremost, it means that I'm a problem solver. The goal is not litigation for litigation's sake, but to get the client to a positive resolution for its most vexing problems for the least expense possible. I'm very mindful of the fact that litigation is very expensive, and Pyrrhic victories are to be avoided. Pyrrhic victories, the term pirate comes from the king pirates who fought the Romans and had so many casualties, and it was at such a great expense that it was really no victory at all. I'm a fact finder. I have to gather facts, documents, and other information to really understand my client and my client's case and the strengths and weaknesses of the client's case. I'm a researcher. I research the law to understand the client's exposure, come up with the best legal arguments I can, and devise creative solutions to the client's legal challenges. And this is very important. You got to put the time in researching the law and understanding what the law is that applies to your client. I once won a case because the other side didn't read the entire statute. They only read part of it. They did the electronic research and the search terms, put them into a particular statute. I went back to the beginning of the statute and I read the thing from beginning to end and found that there was a provision directly applicable, but it had just been filed in the wrong place in the code. And that made the difference between winning and losing. I'm an advocate. I prepare the client's case for a presentation to the judge or jury in a persuasive and effective manner. And it often involves devising a theory of the case, coming up with an explanation as to how we got to where we are and why my client should prevail. And I'm also an advisor. I give the client practical, informed, accurate, and unbiased, at least I try to, unbiased legal advice. I try to be available to my clients 24/7 to help guide them through their legal and business challenges. So in litigation, just give you a primer, there are a few phases that we go through. The first phase that we have is preliminary fact investigation. That's where I'm gathering facts, talking to my client. I'm maybe calling witnesses, trying to figure out what happened and what kind of claims that my client might have, or if I'm defending, which is usually the case, what kind of defenses they have. And based upon that, that gets us ready for when litigation is actually initiated. And first is the pleading stage. That's where there's a complaint filed in the court, usually the common pleas court, which you can also file in small claims and municipal court as well as federal court here in Ohio. And if you're defending, you have to file an answer in response to a complaint and make sure you preserve all of your defenses. And also sometimes at that stage, it'll be what's called a motion to dismiss, where you say, look, I see what you're alleging, but you don't state a claim as a matter of law. Therefore, court, we should dismiss the case. Those are infrequently granted. At an early stage, judges like to allow parties to be able to present their cases, but every once in a while we do try to take a shot and see if we can get a case dismissed on a motion to dismiss. If you survive the motion to dismiss, you go to the discovery stage. That's where you're getting facts and evidence from the other parties in a formal legal process. The first is written discovery. So we're going to serve what are called interrogatories on people on the other parties, asking them questions, and they have to answer those questions. And you only get to ask about 40 interrogatories, depending on which rule is applicable. And usually I try to use these as the goal is just to figure out who are the witnesses, what are the general categories of documents that are out there, and get some basic information, because believe it or not, attorneys are so evasive in answering these interrogatories that their utility is sometimes very questionable. Then we have requests for production of documents. So that's where I'm asking for documents from the other side. And that can be a very time-consuming and expensive part of litigation, because you're asking people to dig into their computer files and find all these documents that might be applicable to the case. And that can require electronically stored information, searches, searching of paper documents. You can literally have hundreds of thousands of documents produced in a particular case, depending on the case. There's requests for admissions. That's where we're asking people to admit to certain facts in a case. Then subpoenas to third parties. If you're not a party to the case, I have to actually subpoena information from you and have a process server go and serve you, which leads to a lot of fun stories when you get people who are trying to avoid subpoenas. By the way, if you're ever presented with a subpoena, walking away from the process server with your hands up in the air going, no, 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 it doesn't work. So if they get close enough to you and you see the subpoena, you're served. Then we have depositions of lay witnesses. That's a big part of the litigation process. So where we bring a witness in, there's a court stenographer and the attorneys are there, and I get to ask the witness questions about the case. Closest thing to like studying for a test, because I have to know the case by that point, know the documents, be able to go toe to toe with this witness and ask them questions. And I have to know the case sometimes better than the witness themselves, because that's how you catch the witness in inconsistencies and try to make your case. I'm doing a lot of time here. Then, in some cases, you got the expert discovery stage. Not all cases need expert witnesses, but medical malpractice cases, cases involving failure of parts, just in the case that I had to hire a metallurgist, you have to retain the experts. You have to have the experts develop, look at the evidence and develop an expert report. And then you get to depose each of the parties' experts. And a couple things about experts: they have to have special expertise that can actually help the trier of fact. We try to ferret out charlatans and all sorts of quackery with expert witnesses. But that doesn't mean that they have to have necessarily any degrees or advanced degrees or anything like that. As long as they have expertise that can help genuinely assist the trier of fact, you can be an expert. So you too can be an expert someday, and it can be a very lucrative practice. And also the experts, when they have their opinions have to be reliable. Oftentimes we try to bounce an opposing expert's opinion through what's called a Daubert motion to get that expert excluded from the case. Then you have the dispositive motion stage. That's where you file a motion with the court saying, okay, we've had a chance to do some discovery, we've got some evidence, and you still don't have a case. And either because I've got an issue of law that shows that you do not have a case, or the facts are simply undisputed. And if you take the undisputed facts and look at them and you give every benefit to the opposing side with respect to those disputed facts, they still don't win. And you can seek a summary judgment on all or part of the case. These are granted. This is a critical phase because this determines whether or not we're going to go to trial or not. Then you can go to mediation. Oftentimes, almost all my cases go to mediation. We want to make sure that we take advantage of opportunities to settle and get the parties to talk to each other. And so we use a neutral mediator who will put the parties in separate rooms and will shuttle back and forth and exchange offers and try to reach the impasse. And then we also have trial. However, trial is a very small part of my practice. I'm always preparing for trial. However, only about 2% of cases end up in trial. They involve lots of expense, lots of risk, and lots of unpredictability. That's why people don't like to go to trial and why they are so few and far between. Trials are also very stressful, but they're a lot of fun. For litigators, at least. So, and in fact, I don't think they're fun at the time I'm going through it, but then afterwards, it's kind of this adrenaline rush you get, and you're like, wow, that was really cool. That was a neat experience, and that's why us lawyers keep coming back for more. And then if you're unsuccessful at trial, you can, of course, appeal. We've got 12 appellate districts in Ohio. You get an appeal as a matter of right to the appellate districts. Supreme Court of Ohio is after that. That's different. That a lot of times in civil cases, that is what's called a discretionary appeal, and you have to petition the court. 5 minutes. So now we're going to talk a little bit about the impact of COVID-19. In March of 2020, all Dinsmore attorneys and staff began to work from home, like most of us. Firm events turned into virtual events. Although most of the people, at least at my firm, are back in the office today. I go into the office almost every day. Litigation activities have all been almost exclusively taken virtual, including hearings, oral arguments, depositions, and mediations. I'm starting to have more in-person stuff to this day, but there's a lot of virtual things going on via Zoom, and we found out that, in fact, there is a lot of things that you can do via Zoom. There were a lot of challenges due to COVID, but also a lot of opportunities. You know, I got to see my family a lot during COVID, and that was actually quite the blessing. I never missed dinner due to work. My kids gained a better knowledge and appreciation of what I do. I never thought I would ever have my kids see me take a deposition of a witness, but they did because I did it via Zoom. And for the rest of the day, they were yelling, objection, objection, all day long. So they got a big kick out of it. Travel ground to a halt. I upped my home office game, and there's more work from home flexibility. And I think that is here to stay. And this is one of the things that I think is interesting about COVID. All the attorneys in my office have some sort of makeshift sign on their door to tell people if they got a hearing or a deposition. And everybody's got a little different styles. I've got a little post-it that I keep on the back side of my door, and I just slap it on the front if I've got a deposition. And it's just a sign of how COVID has changed things in the practice of law. Courts have gone virtual. The Supreme Court of Ohio held all of its oral arguments in 2020 virtually. You can see a picture here of the justices. on the computer and in front of a false Supreme Court background. But they still heard every case in 2020. They ordered all deadlines under the rules of civil procedure told for almost 4 months. That's unheard of. We essentially were in a holding pattern for many months. And ironically, although it was to help litigants, it hurt us because we didn't have anything to do for some time. And although we've made up for that since then, that's everything's getting caught up now. And most attorneys that I've spoken to are pretty busy, particularly in the litigation field. Courts have been given permission to waive requirements for in-person service or that the party appear in person. The Chief Justice of the Ohio Supreme Court, Maureen O'Connor, has asked judges to prioritize their workload, reduce the need for jury pools, and minimize public traffic in courthouses. Jury trials were suspended for a long time, and that caused courts to become congested with cases, and that impact is still being felt to this day. It's acutely felt on the civil side of things because my cases get bumped for the criminal cases. There's speedy trial guarantees under the Constitution. Courts have to hear the criminal docket. I will often I'll be getting ready for trial. I'll be 2 days before the trial, only to get a call from the court to say, yep, you're not going because we've got a criminal trial that is going forward. And this is my, just a few things. Courts changed their practices. Juries are spread out through the courtrooms now. Witnesses can appear virtually. Masks are required, although a lot of times we get leave to take our masks off when we're questioning witnesses. I'm a big believer in wearing masks. However, it's hard to gauge the witness when they're wearing a mask. You like to see their facial expressions because their body language can tell you a lot as a litigator when you're trying to try a case. So finally, I've got some wholly unscientific anecdotal observations with some wild speculation mixed in about the impact of COVID. First, I think going forward, more depositions are going to be conducted remotely, at least in part, though I haven't seen clients demanding it just yet. But I had a case where I had to go to 25 states to depose witnesses over 2 months. My daughter remembers that time, and she said, yeah, Dad, that was not awesome. But I did get to travel quite a bit. I think a lot of that will go away because clients can save money by having you appear virtually. There'll be fewer phone calls. I'm actually finding that there's fewer phone calls, but there in fact is increased video conferences. So clients that I would have never have seen, I would have just called them or emailed them because they're in another state and I get to see them now. People are a lot more willing to do video calls. There's shifts in business models due to COVID. It means shifts in litigation. So increase in DoorDash means that you got a lot more litigation with DoorDash. I've been doing a lot of work for DoorDash, and so there's an increase in cases as there's an increase in DoorDash deliveries. Same goes with Amazon, Uber Eats, and other platforms. And there's a general uptick in litigation that I've seen post-COVID. Litigators are busy working through the backlog, but we're also getting new cases. But I'm also finding that there's less appetite for litigating matters once a case is filed. Parties are more willing to engage in mediation or early litigation settlement talks. And I think that's driven by the delays in the court right now, that parties make the judgment that it's better to get money now than wait sometimes years to get a resolution. So that is the practice of law in a nutshell. And in the COVID area, do we have any can I take a few quick questions? So, Steve? One question. Favorite attorney movie? Oh my goodness. That's a good question. I have lots of favorite books that I've read. I love John Grisham books. So I love The Firm. The movie The Firm is great. I liked Civil Action. So yeah, there's some good ones out there.
You're missing it. My cousin Benny.
My cousin Benny. Well, but My Cousin Benny is talked about so much amongst lawyers that it's like, that's just not my thing, but it is a great movie.
One more question, and then we're gonna.
Sure, John.
So you mentioned something about people who haven't passed the bar. What, with a law degree, but not passing the bar, what can you do? What is it?
Well, I mean, the sales pitch has always been that you can do anything with a law degree. I'm not sure that's necessarily the case, but I do have friends who never even bothered to pass the bar exam because they knew that they were going to go into a field where, their legal knowledge might be needed, but they weren't going to need to practice law. So there's an additional category in the OSBA which talks about JD Advantage jobs. And so in addition to the 68% employed in a job requiring bar passage, 16% get jobs where their law degree actually gives them an advantage to get that job. And I know in healthcare and other fields, it can be an advantage.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you so much, Peter. And reminder that next week we are at City Hall for a tour by our own Andy Keeler. Our quote today is from Jesse Klein. Everyone wants to say they hate lawyers. And yet I've never met a parent who didn't want their kid to be a lawyer.
Very good.
Thanks very much. Have a great weekend.